There's lots of choices on a cruise. You simply take your pick. But one exception to that rule: whenever you get sick. Today's episode of My Travel Window is going to focus on my experience with the medical center on board the Norwegian Epic in December of 2022. There are 5 things that surprised me with this encounter and that you might find helpful. Stay tuned for the sticker shock of the final bill. Surprise number 1, the lack of intermediate options. With thousands of people aboard a cruise ship and far away from any other medical services, it's important for the ship to be able to provide care for anything that happens on the ship. A heart attack, a stroke, an accident, allergic reaction, an infection, whatever. So medical centers aboard cruise ships are designed to handle hospital level care, to get a patient stabilized and treated and managed until they can get to facilities that are on shore. So they're designed to handle a myriad of conditions. What surprised me aboard the ship was the lack of intermediate options. Let me explain the situation. We were on day 29 of a 31-day cruise. My cough had worsened. I was out of cough drops. We were not due to make any stops in any ports, and I was struggling. And so I decided to go to the medical center, and at first all I wanted was some cough syrup. What amazed me was to discover that there are no toiletries sold aboard the Norwegian Epic. There's not even a little drugstore. I couldn't get a single cough drop aboard the ship. So my first approach was to go to the medical center and say, can I just get some cough syrup to get me there? The answer was the only cough syrup available is on a prescription after having seen the doctor, and that's a minimum $150 charge. And so I delayed, finally decided I had to go. That's when we encountered surprise number 2, the location. On previous cruise ships we've been on, the medical center is located below the passenger level rooms, so typically decks 3 or 4, something like that. To my surprise, this one was located on deck 10, in the middle of a passenger floor and right near the rear elevators. Still haven't figured out why it was there. Surprise number 3, the size. Walking into the medical center, you have no sense of the size. You walk into a waiting room, and from that waiting room are hallways on the sides, and there are doorways leading to other locations, and you have no concept of how big it is. You can see here from the diagram the size of the medical center aboard the ship. They make efficient use of the space they have, and some of it is convertible from outpatient rooms to inpatient rooms. I was told that the facility is capable of housing up to 7 inpatients at a time and multiple outpatients. Surprise number 4, the hours. I was shocked to go to the medical center and discover that it was closed. And when I looked at the hours that it was posted, it's open a total, for a walk-in patient, it's open a total of 3 hours a day. 90 minutes in the morning, 90 minutes in the late afternoon. If you need the medical center outside of those hours, it's the shipboard equivalent of a 911 call. Before I get to the surprising 4-digit cost and the services that were provided to me on that day, let me invite you to subscribe to our channel. It doesn't cost anything. It lets YouTube know that you're interested in material like this, and it gets our message out to more people. So thank you in advance. When you check into the medical center, you're advised that all services will be charged to your shipboard account and will be settled when you get off the ship. There is a list of charges that's in very fine print, and so you have a sense of what charges are, but it's like any a la carte restaurant. As soon as you go in, a series of things happen, and you're never quite sure what all charges you've incurred until you get to the end. Within about 5 to 6 hours after my visit to the medical center, we opened our cabin to find an envelope that contained our bill. The morning encounter cost me, are you ready for this? $3,214. I was expecting a big number, but I was shocked by this amount just the same. So what is it that I had done? After listening to my chest, they decided that I might have pneumonia. So they did a chest x-ray and they confirmed it. They also checked me for COVID, for RSV, and for flu, all of which were negative. After they discovered that I had pneumonia, what they did was put me on a nebulizer and gave me 2 different nebulizer treatments and a dose of IV antibiotics because I wasn't going to be on the ship very long, and they wanted to make sure I got started on that. About 3.5 hours after I arrived, I walked out with oral antibiotics, some cough syrup, and some eye drops for a related condition. In round figures, the bill came to $1,300 for the medical services, about $800 for the medications and supplies, and about $1,100 for lab and radiology. So, would you be ready for this? Our insurance plan does have an out-of-country benefit, and we won't go anywhere without having trip insurance that covers medical, so we have that on top of this. I'm expecting the majority of this bill to be covered by those 2 policies. But this is a word to the wise. The ship has facilities to handle whatever happens to you medically. But just make sure that you are prepared for the cost, just in case. In case you're wondering, the treatment worked well, I'm good, and I'm ready for more adventures. Until next time, stay well and safe travels.